So I asked myself, like, do exorcism movies need to go to a place of true discomfort? I thought Talk to Me did it, with Riley getting getting his fucking face bashed in and all that shit. Like it's stuff that you're just like, damn, that's really heavy. It's really fucked up. And so I wonder aloud if I would have loved this movie more had those scenes where the family is being tortured go even farther. But I felt like there was sort of a studio vibe in there that was like, no, we don't need to go that hard. But I don't know. Maybe I would have liked this movie if some of those scenes would have been so disturbing that I'd be kind of quivering in my boots right now talking about it with you.
Here's what I'll say. I'll kind of go on two sides of this. I'll defend the fact that you don't necessarily have to go hard in an exorcism movie to make it work. And why I say that is a great example is The Last Exorcism, which is one of my favorite exorcism movies that I mentioned. It's a found footage movie. It's rated PG-13. And that movie is freaky as hell and it's scary and it's a really really enjoyable film. PG-13. I think correct isn't the Exorcism of Emily Rose, that's also PG-13 if
It
I'm
might be. I
yeah.
can't say for sure, but it might be.
So, in that regard, I will say that you don't necessarily need to go hard if you do it the right way. So, I'll disagree on that notion. Now, I will say that you can play it safe. And while I don't think this film necessarily played it safe, I thought the scene with the little boy grabbing his mom's breast and saying,
Yeah.
you never breastfed me, that was pretty creepy and very like very off putting in that moment. But yeah, I think there were scenes where they could have gone a little bit further. I mean, this movie was rated R, and it didn't feel like they pushed the boundary too far into that. It felt more like some of the gore scenes and some like things like that. But yeah, they could have gone a little harder in this movie. I'm not haunted by this movie the way I was haunted by The Exorcist, or let's say I just watched Rosemary's Baby the other day, which is a different kind of possession movie. But that movie, there are scenes in that movie that haunt me, that absolutely freak me out to this day. I didn't really feel that way with this movie, and so I'm kind of two minds. Like, does it need to go hard? I think it depends on the film.
Yeah, maybe it does. I mean, this film has plenty of plot to keep you on the hook, so I think it doesn't necessarily need it. But I wonder if like I this movie will eventually kind of fade into the background for me because nothing in it truly sticks with me.
Yeah.
Not none of the disturbing stuff like some of the bad stuff might stick with me, like, oh, remember how that kid was pantomiming like he was Ralph Anderson, like that. Like, I don't want the bad stuff to stick with me. I want the stuff that really like cuts to the core to stick with me. And I felt like at every turn there was an opportunity to go two notches higher, and they didn't. Maybe there is a director's version, I don't know. I mean, Julius Avery is known to go pretty hard, so I'm
I
curious
think
if
it's
how he wanted to go with it.
I think part of it's because they had that R rating and they walked up to the line and they didn't cross it. You know what I mean? They walked
Yeah.
right like the when we talked about the scene where the whole mommy's breast milk thing and the scene where he's like telling Father Gabriel, I'm going to fuck you. Like, they could have taken that to the next level and made it truly, utterly disturbing, but they chose to walk right up to the line and then stop. And they were already an R rating, so you're kind of like, why didn't you just decide to go all the way and make it
Yeah.
fully disturbing? Again, it's the movie. They had the R rating, they could have done it. Whereas The Last Exorcism, they didn't really need that. The Exorcism of Emily Rose didn't really even need that either.
No, not really.
This movie, they had it. They had an R rating. They walked up to the line and then they just kind of sat back. And you kind
Yeah.
of feel like if they would have just taken a couple more steps. So that's why I say, do exorcism movies need to go hard? Not always, but I think in this movie, in the Pope's Exorcist, I think this would have benefited from taking a couple more steps over the line, because part of these movies, part of the genuine terror of these movies, are the uncomfortable moments you feel. You absolutely feel uncomfortable watching Reagan stab herself with a cross
Yeah.
in that movie. That will stick with you. I saw that will stick with you forever. You will never forget that scene. You'll be in your deathbed when you're 80 and someone will show you a crucifix. You'll be like, oh my God, that's what Reagan stabbed herself with. Uh,
Yeah.
this one didn't quite have that.
No, I think you're right. I think this it's just what this movie is missing to make it something where I'm like, I think you need to see this. Like or even like maybe you don't need to see this because it's too heavy.